everyone, and welcome to Quick House Office Hours, where we'll be answering all your questions about Effect House in the next 30 minutes. We welcome all technical and non-technical questions. My name is Vanessa. If it's your first time here, I'm one of the Effect House Community Manager, and here's my guest, Mingus. Mingus.
Hello, everyone watching. My name is Mingus, and I am a Technical Community Manager for Effect House. So if you have any technical questions, we can see if I'm able to answer them.
Yes, Mingus is here to help. As always, I always like to know where everyone's from. And soy Valentino, good to see you again. And there's Kuda Box as well. So if you have any questions about Effect House, drop them in the comment section and we'll get Mingus to answer those. Before we start though, in case you haven't seen, that we have some announcement to make. So we have Accelerator coming up. It's a program designed for gold and platinum badge creators from all over the world. And so if you want to upskill as an Effect House creator or as want to get to know how to make better content for your effects, join in and you could register in the registration form. The link will be provided on our comment section. Otherwise, it's also available in our Effect House bios. Let's see the first question that we have. Oh, hello, Cloves Philo. Yes. Let me know if
Hi,
I'm...
Cloves.
Well, Mingus knows you.
I don't always recognize the name, but sometimes when I do, I think I was talking to Cloves a bit today. I also don't know that that's necessarily your name, but I hope it's okay. I'm calling you Cloves.
Mm-hmm. We have the first. Let's address the first question from Grace McChoy, and the question is there a way to get a color value RGB from a pixel area?
Cool. I could do that. Yeah, so for those who want to sample a color from somewhere on the screen, you'll have to use our material editor. So if you haven't used material editor before, you're going to want to open this menu up. You'll jump to custom material and you'll add an empty material. I'm now in our material editor, and essentially what this is it's a bunch of nodes that let me create my own material. So I need to apply the material to something. So I will apply it to, let's just add a cube. Gorgeous. And then you're going to swap the material of the cube out for this empty material. And I will name it color picker. Great. This is a good starter little project if you're getting into the material editor. So what you want to do is we have something called sample texture 2D. Hi, Thomas. For those who don't know, textures, in math class, you maybe learn about X and Y. For textures, you can consider U and V. And those are just the letters that are applied to texture coordinates. So usually a texture is going to have, 0, 0 down here and 1, 1 up here. That's the U direction. That's the V direction. So we have this sample texture 2D node. And then what it's doing is we're telling it which texture to sample from. So if I use my camera input texture, for example, and I'll just start by plugging it right into here, you'll see it's at 0, 0 right now. So it's sampling from down here. If I move, it's going to become the background color. If I sample from 0.5, 0.5, that will sample from the middle of the camera texture. So you'll see it sampling my nose, I guess, or the middle of the screen. And then, you can move this around as you want. So depending where you want to sample from, if you wanted to sample, let's try sampling from the face. If I add a 3D face, let's see if this works. Cool. And then I can pull the face texture from this. So instead of sampling from the camera, let me try sampling from the face texture. Cool. I can hide this 3D face. So now it's working on the face texture. So 0.5, 0.5 is going to be the middle of my face. You can try to, like, for example, find out where the eye is, just kind of by playing around. This is, oh, I have 0, 0. 0.6. That's still obviously some of my skin tone. This is cool if you ever wanted to make, like if you want to sample a skin color, this is a way to do that. Obviously, be careful when you're dealing with something sensitive like skin colors, but if you did want to do that, actually a nice thing to do is, as opposed to just relying on one pixel's color value, if I had a freckle or something, or I have a beard, that could throw the value off. But the more kind of values you sample from, the better. So let's say here we're sampling from 0.6, 0.4. Here we're sampling from 0.4, 0.4. Now we're going to be sampling from 2 paces on my face, and then we can blend them together if we want. Oh, I think I have to change it. Oh, no, I can use this value. Can we do this? Cool. Cool, you can't really tell, but now we're blending 2 values on my face together to create this final value. So it's just a nice way to be safe about it. I guess a better way I could kind of show you what blending is doing is if I just do a constant color, let's say red, plug that in. Hey, let me split this and then combine these 3. If you don't know, for when you're using Material Editor, if you want to play around with the inputs, unlike the visual scripting panel, you got to go up to this little information button, and then you can change the inputs. Cool. So what this is doing now, it's blending red with the color I'm sampling from the UV coordinates 0.6, 0.4 on my face. And then I think the question asked how to like pull the RGBs. If you don't want the combined color, you can obviously just pull these values out, and they'll give you, they'll give you an R value, a G value, and a B value for the area you're sampling from. In short, you want to use 2D texture sample, plug in a texture, and then you can plug it into your shader. Thanks, Thomas. Does anyone else have any other questions in the chat? Be nice to me, be kind, be gentle. Ask away though.
Yeah, thank you, Pinkus. That was so
Of
comprehensive, and you always provide such good tip. I think we can address while we wait for questions from the audience. We can answer one of the questions from the Discord. It's from I am unique 6435, and the question is, hey, I would like to create a filter that segments the clothing of the user and lets him prompt a picture or design of the clothes that is then projected on the current clothing. Can we do that?
Sorry, say that again.
Create an effect that segments the clothing of a user and lets him prompt a picture or design of the clothing that is then projected on the clothing.
Oh, who's this question from?
From I am unique 6435.
Oh, I know that. I think Co's here. I think they did a similar effect. I can, yeah. I mean that sound like, from what I'm interpreting, it sounds like it wants to use some clothing segmentation, and then it also wants to use the user media texture. So let's see what we can do. For those who don't know, we have segmentation. You can add clothing segmentation. What that's going to do is it's going to segment my clothing and then apply a texture to it. If you wanted this texture to instead be a photo you could slot in from your camera roll, you could add a user media texture. So down here in the assets panel, texture, user media texture. For those who know our green screen effect on TikTok, this is essentially that, but it's letting you add kind of that capability to your effects. And then you can go to this, and then let me see if this works as expected.
I think that color looks so great on you.
Thank you. Yeah, so what this is now doing is, if I was to preview this on my TikTok app, once I open it up, it's going to give me a prompt, and I can swap this green texture out for any photo in my camera roll, and then it will apply that photo to me. And obviously I'm not far away from the camera right now, but you can see it would apply the photo in my camera roll to the whole person. You also don't have to use this green texture when you're using user media texture by default. You'll see if you click user media texture, you can swap out this green grid if you want it to be something that says, you know, add text, or you want it to be a picture of like a placeholder image. You can always swap this green checkerboard out here as well. Yeah, I'm not sure that's exactly what they were going for, but hopefully they can work with what I've shown.
Yes, I think that was quite clear. If there, we'll drop you this question back to the asker, the person who asked the question. And if there's any question, if there's any follow-up question, please feel free to reply to us. I think we've started getting questions from the from our audience. The first question is from Rufus number 1. And the question is it possible to add collision event between 2D objects? Apparently he asked ChatGPT and it says it's only possible between 3D objects. Do you know if it's possible to do 3D objects?
That's a good old ChatGPT. I will say ChatGPT, we're newer, so I don't know that ChatGPT knows all our features too well yet. So take anything ChatGPT's telling you with a grain of salt. But yeah, that's a good question. Like, I assume, Rufus, you're looking to find out when two images collide? Like, we don't have a 2D physics system yet in Effect House. So we do have a 3D physics system, as I'm sure you know. There's probably hacks to detect when two 2D objects collide. I just want to let me circle back on this one, Rufus, and I will get back to you. But I can say confidently, I wouldn't trust ChatGPT wholeheartedly on this front. But let me get back to you in the Discord. If you are on Discord, let me know and throw this up in the Ask a Question, and I will get back to you.
Sure thing. We will save that question, Rufus. So and we'll tag you once we have them answered. And Thomas is also asking about Material Editor. So the next question is from Thomas Asriel. And the question is, can you show us how to make pixelated texture in half of the screen?
Yeah. So I'm seeing. Great. Shout out to Projo, who's in the chat. Projo says that 2D is possible, and there is a subgraph in the MicroJam channel on Discord that's showing you how to use our collision system to detect 2D collision. If you don't know what MicroJam is, you can go to our Discord. There is a channel called MicroJam. Shout out to August, who does a lot of work for MicroJam. There's tons of fun tips and tricks there. So Rufus, I would advise you to go there, and thank you, Joe, for knowing so much. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Pixel. Yeah. I don't have time to build Pixel from scratch right now. I can share a project file again afterwards doing that. Let's see if we can work with the asset library to hack that. For those who don't know, we have a gorgeous asset library. Oh God, sorry, the chat's moving. I'm easily distracted. If you
Don't worry about
it,
I've got you.
Cool. No, it's I have us on my second screen, and I'm like a dog and a squirrel. Yeah, if you go to screen effects, a lot of these are built using our material editor. Let me find Pixel in here. There it is. So if you're new to Material Editor, I know this is maybe not exactly what you're asking, but you can download any of these, and then you can just simply drag and drop them. Oh, it already applied that one. And then you'll see I have pixelation on my screen. And if you actually click the material down here, you will be able to control the pixel count. And then by default, it's taking a. Let me see what happens here.
Oh.
Cool.
Fojo on the line as well. Isn't it like past midnight for you, Fojo? Thanks for joining.
People are no one sleeps. No one sleeps here, myself included. So if we wanted to apply this to only half the screen, let me see what I can do. It's been a second. Oh, we've got a question about drinks.
I think I personally prefer matcha latte. I don't know what else. Oh, I think matcha latte is leading.
Really?
Yeah. And water. But matcha latte is the leading. Yeah.
Let's see what's. Sorry, I'm just messing around while you're talking. Feel free to talk about something else for one second.
I can talk about challenges. So we have 2 challenges right now. One is the Spooky Halloween Challenge that ends in 1st of November. I mean, Spooky Day is coming up. Halloween's coming up in about 5 days. So if you haven't submit your Halloween effects, go and do that in the next 5 days. And on top of that, Minecraft challenge is also Minecraft Live Challenge is ending in 3 days on the 29th. So if you haven't submitted, remember to submit your effects by then. And we've had some really great effects from the Minecraft Live Challenge. So if you haven't seen them, we'll share them in our social channel shortly. And speaking of social channel, if you haven't joined our social channel, follow us on @EffectHouse TikTok, Instagram, and of course there's YouTube as well as Twitter. And yes, we also, I think, Mingus, you mentioned about the latest Microgem project. August gave us a sneak peek of his latest Microgem project, and the project is still not released, but if you're keen, if you're interested, check out the stream from Tuesday. Are we figuring it out, Mingus?
Yeah, I mean, I will complete this project after this, but what I've kind of done here is I've taken our pixelation, which who's taking notes? Am I taking notes or you?
I'm taking notes.
Okay, great. I was going to add some subgraph notes. I need to. I'll show you actually how to build pixelation from scratch, because at the moment you obviously can't jump into this to see how we built it in Material Editor. So I will show after this how to make pixelation. But what I've done is I pulled our pixelation from our asset library, and then you'll see in it has a camera component. I've sent that to a render texture. So you can send your camera to the final render output, which is like saying this is what I want people to see, or you can send it to a texture, and that's saying what the camera sees. Don't send it to the final effect, but instead make it an asset. So you'll see here there's a render texture, and then you can add a screen image, and you can apply that render texture as a texture of the screen image, and then I can kind of, if I just do fit, you'll see I can then use my screen image. If I just wanted to crop it or play around with the size of it, you can do so up here. I think I could use an alpha mask to cut it in half if I wanted to. I've made an, hopefully that gives you a little start of how you can mess around with pixelation. You can add a material to it if you want to. Like if I added an unlit material, for example, you could add that, and then using the unlit, I think I also have to add this texture. Cool, and then you could also add a alpha opacity texture to it. Let's see what this does. Let me refresh it. Oh, that's not what I was hoping for. Oh, maybe I need to change the render state from none to normal. So by default, the render texture that we have, like this opacity texture, is just a checkerboard. But if in an external program you made an image that was half black and half white, that would then cut this in half and only show pixelation on half of your screen, if that makes any sense to you.
So cool.
But Does that make sense?
So
if you use unlit for the person who asked the question, and then instead of using our default texture, you made alpha mask that's like half black and half white down the middle, it's going to just apply the pixelation to whichever half of your screen you choose to put the black or the white. But by default, it's just giving you this checkerboard. But this is, this is a vibe in itself. This is a pixelated effect using a checkerboard alpha texture.
That looks really cool. It looks like you're behind a frosted glass. Yeah, thank you, Mingus, for showing
Chic.
us
that. Of course.
The next question is from our regular Ko Guan Hua, or as you guys might know him as Game Plus 40.
Why are you asking me questions when you know more than me?
Okay, let's try to answer this question. It's a question about time. So, what is the best way? The question from Go Guan Hua Game Plus 40 is, what is the best way to set timer for a game? Counting upwards, is timer the best way? And what is the difference between delta time and get time?
Let me see, I'm reading the question. What is the best way to set timers for a game counting upwards? Is timer the best way? What is the difference between delta time and... Do you mean the delta time, like what's the difference between these two? Is that the question?
I think we can.
So from my understanding, is delta time is going to tell me, and I could be wrong, but it's the time that's between the frames. So it's how much time it took to go from one frame to the next frame, and that will change obviously depending on the device that's using it. So it's a way you can kind of hack looking at your frame rate. Whereas like time in seconds, I don't know if this is what you meant. Yeah, delta time is the time between frames. So right up, it's just telling me like how long it's been since the last frame and how long it's been after that frame passes, how long it's been since the last frame there. And then obviously delta time is the total time since the effect started. And then update node also has a delta time, and that's, again, it's going to tell you how much time has elapsed between the frames. So like if you're doing, August is a master of this as a game dev, but or someone who has more experience in gaming than me. But yeah, I think you're going to want to use delta time if you're doing things where the things have to react to very specific frames. So I'm actually I'm working on some resources that have to do with frames and frame rates, because I know oftentimes people want to sync frames up to music, or they have games where how things react to frames is very specific. And I know frames can kind of be a bit of a complicated concept for people. So I've been trying to learn more about frames, and hopefully I can share that out with you all soon. But for those who don't know, kind of like a movie, right? An effect has frames. From the start of the effect would be like frame 0, and then after that on your phone, the effect is going to play out like a movie, frame by frame, and older phones or slower phones are going to have a slower frame rate, and quicker, newer phones are going to have a faster frame rate. So this number is going to change a lot depending on who is using your effect and what device they're using.
Thank you, Mingus. That was so informative. Cole, I hope that answers your question. If not, you know where to find Mingus on Discord.
You do know where to find me.
We have one last question from Paramonovkos.
Mingus is scary.
Oh, I know. Do you have
you saw that, Vanessa? You skipped that one. You were being nice. You said, I'm not going to tell Mingus this. Okay, we already said we're a little underslept, everyone. Okay, I don't have a ring light on. I'm in the office. Be kind.
He's been in the office building Effect House for the whole day. Sure. Let's move on to one last question. The last question of the day is from Paramonovkos, and the question is, how can I change the rotation of an object with a rigid body?
How can I change? Let me see if I can understand this. If you're still with us, are they here? Is that question from this chat?
Yes, that's a question from the YouTube.
So you're asking me if I add a cube and I add a rigid body to it,
I think Thomas even suggested
Are we
set the
asking how,
rotation while the rigid body is static.
like, oh, you're asking because it falls off the screen? Is that the question? If that is the question, yeah, as Thomas said, who's now okay, we're friends again. I was about to say, yeah, you can check is static, and that will keep the object on the screen. Then you can rotate it, and then if you uncheck is static and refresh, it should fall again. So if you want to, if that's the question, yeah, just check it is static if you don't want the object to fall. And what's fun about that is you can control is static through visual scripting as well. So you can, for example, let's see, if I want it to fall on a screen tap, am I doing this right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. I really thought that was going to work, team.
That's
Okay, I'll figure out what's going on. I'll figure out what's going on there. But you should be able to control is static through visual scripting. I might have just set it up wrong. I'm upgrading my PC just so I can run Effect House smoothly. Oh yeah, Brett, that's also a good solution. So gravity is 9.8. And then Brett's suggesting you can make the force. Let me uncheck 9 point. Let's see.
We should
It's
invite some
falling.
of these people to our creator hour and teach other
So many of these people could do my job and then some. Let me see, did I do it backwards? Cool. So if you set it to 9.8, there's now going to be a force battling gravity. So it's going to float in space. And you'll see if I make this like 9.9, it should very slowly float up into space. And if I make it 9.7, it will very slowly descend. Hi, Brett. From TikTok. Hi, Brett.
Hi, Brett.
You could. Let me tell you, trust me.
You're undermining yourself, Angus.
I'm a tootin' Brett's horn. Thank you. Thank you, chat. Yeah, I hope we answered something. I'll watch this back after, and everything I wasn't able to answer in the chat, I will get to in our Discord.
And I think that brings us to the end of today's office hour. If you don't have your questions answered, go to the forum at community.effecthouse.com, and then we could answer your questions from there. If you don't know about it, we do have another live stream tomorrow with one of our creators, Dominic, who will teach us how to sculpt a 3D pumpkin just in time for Halloween. Yes, so thank you everyone for coming to Office Hour. Thank you, Mingus. And
Thanks,
if we
Vanessa.
remember to follow us on all our socials at Effect House on TikTok, Instagram, Discord, and Twitter. And this office hour will be uploaded to YouTube in the next few days. So subscribe to this YouTube channel, and you'll be the first to access our tutorials on the latest feature. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you at the same time in 2 weeks. See you, everyone.